wanna do, I already done it. And I got your little boo telling me she love me. I got this one, that one, damn, it's gonna be a long night.
Hello guys, what is up? It is me, Prince of this night, back here with What If Asta Was Yuta's Reincarnation, Part 2, Anger. And I feel like I've used that title somewhere else before, but you know what, I'm still gonna go with it. Hope y'all are happy that I posted the second part. Been 3 days, and if anyone's gonna be joking about, oh, you're gonna post this in like a month, calm down, here it is. You don't have to, talk about it so much. Point is, really hope you enjoy this. Let's get right into it. Let's recap. This recap is gonna take so freaking long, by the way. I had to take so long to write it, but regardless, it's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna Asta beat the shit out of some people. Let's have some fun, and let's just go. So we last began with Yuta having reincarnated into the body of Asta. So we last began with Asta having become Yuta's reincarnation, and his cursed energy gives him dominating presence, intense amounts of cursed energy. He has like a lot of it, and he has all his powers and especially all his memories from his past life, except for like a few. Early on, he inspired Yuno to get stronger by helping him choose a goal after an impressed Yuno watched him knock out a man that was trying to get up in their space. After this, Yuno wants to be Wizard King, but Asta says he will be the strongest. Then they grow together and grow together stronger, like they train, stuff like that. Asta shows his family his abilities and Rika, but everyone else, while knowing that he has no magic, acknowledges his strength, and he showed them some pretty weird stuff. Like, he showed them in one instance something weird. I'll talk about it later. And at the age of 15, they go to the Grimoire Tower where Asta arrives late but makes a good entrance. But of course, he gets no Grimoire and gets ridiculed by the nobles. And the commoners actually keep quiet because they respect Asta and know something about him that the nobles do not. Yuno gets the 4-leaf clover, and this gives him a standing ovation but makes the nobles sour. After that, he and Asta get to talking, and they just wait at the sunset. They just talk about stuff when they're attacked by nobles who almost get killed by an angered Rika. But Asta stops her and makes them run away. And then Yuno and him get back to talking. Revchi, meanwhile, is killed after hiding, even though he was planning on attacking, and Rika, of course, killed him. Then Asta and Yuno trained and went to the capital, where Asta not only makes a splash, but a whole tidal wave with his appearance, and during a match, Rika came out because a noble threatened Asta. He got all hands for the selection, but Asta chose the Black Bulls, while Yuno, who had all hands as well, went to the Golden Dawn. The two brothers parted ways, and Asta went to the Bulls through Fenrir's portal, and he also had Nair with him by this point, who had sort of gotten attached to him. He also talked to Gordon, who he could actually hear due to his insane physical enhancement, so that's good. When he arrived at the base, he started slowly getting used to the rowdy group. He actually naturally scares them with his energy just to make sure that they pay attention to him, because they were like messing around. Magna proposes the baptism, but as the fight is about to begin, Yami asks Asta not to use any cursed energy, no superpowers, like just physical strength. And even with that, however, he obliterated Magna, and this impressed them all, including the beaten Magna, and he's welcome to the group and was shown around. On his tour, he got to meet Noelle, and they say actually they don't say anything because obviously this is still, Noelle when she's kind of a bitch. So their meeting was not good. That's an understatement, but you get the point. However, the next day, after he finished cleaning and went to train with his anti-magic Grimoire, he saw Noelle training. After a bit of watching, he stepped in, and she almost attacked him, but he stopped her with cursed speech and proceeded to help. The bulls were alerted by Noelle's rise in mana and came outside to see her using a spell in a much more calm manner due to Asta's help somehow. But the water ball did go out of control, and for the first time, Asta uses anti-magic to stop it, and the bulls get closer. Noelle hangs out with the group more. And during the passing days, Asta went on missions with Gordon and came back with 5 stars, and then he got 4 more stars, until Magna and Noelle wanted to go on a mission with him to get rid of boars. They do get to the boars, but also Asta notices a spike in negative energy. It rushes to Sashi village with his teammates following behind, and he arrives, stopping Heath and his men in an instant. After that, Noelle and Magna arrive to see Asta healing the villagers' reverse cursed energy or technique, and Magna then asks these villagers why Heath and his people were here, and the village chief tells him about a stone he kept asking about, which Nero would then bring over at that moment, and the Black Bulls plan to take it back. Asta then summoned Rika to take away Heath and his men after he knocked them out with cursed speech, and Rika's form of course baffled all of them. So we're actually going to begin this with Yami and Asta walking down the capital towards the castle. How long has it been since you actually caught those idiots, Yami would ask. 2 days, Asta says. But why are we going to the castle? Don't they have this under control? Yami shrugs their shoulders and they simply go to find out themselves. And as they arrive, they are met by Marks, who leads them down to the basement. And as the door is opened up to the interrogation room, Asta would see Julius Novachrono standing before Heath and his men, putting restraints on him return, saying, "Welcome." Asta then waves hello, and Yami asks why the hell they're back here, as Marks would say, "Once again, please address the Wizard King with more respect." Julius then says, "It's fine. You've been saying that for years, you know. And I will until he stops," Marks says. Julius will laugh at this as he then comes over and he says to come over, and as they do, Marks will close the door behind as Julius then comes to Asta and shakes his hand. "Nice to see you again, Asta." "The pleasure's all mine, sir," Asta would say. "Oh, by the way," Julius would say, but Asta would say, "No, sir, I can't fully manifest Rika for you." Hearing this saddens Julius immensely as he asked for it last time they met, and Asta said the same thing. Fully manifesting Rika means I have to give her a certain rate of freedom. I need to get a bit stronger. Also, if you start expecting her, she might kill you. "I'm sorry, I'm just a bit fascinated, you know," Julius would say. "You have a different source of power other than mana. That's not something you come across every day." Speaking of, Marks would say, "We also heard you have something called anti-magic as well." Asta nods, saying he does, and then he holds his hands out, and a 5-leaf clover grimoire falls out of thin air, opening up before releasing his anti-magic katana, which he would rip out, completely making Julius almost giggle. He then points the sword towards the captured people, and his weapon would exude this blood-red energy, which would activate the spell, and then it reveals itself before then completely being shattered in an instant, the spell that was protecting their minds from being read by Marks. Instantly, Marks then activates his magic, forming a dome over their heads, and he would say, "Thank you." Julius then runs over and he asks about the grimoire and his weapon, and Asta says he found it one day. "Found it?" Julius would say. Asta would nod, and Julius asks if he can take the weapon and inspect it, and he says sure, as Julius then holds his hand out, and Asta would slowly place it into his hands, but as soon as he lets go, while Julius starts off happy, his face turns to complete shock as the weapon crashes into the ground, bringing his hand down with it, and creating a crater, much to everyone's shock, and even Asta is surprised as Julius keeps trying to lift the sword, but finds it practically impossible to do so, and his magic is being negated. "So this is anti-magic," he thought. "Sorry, I didn't know it was that heavy," Asta would say as he grabs the hilt and easily lifts it up before then putting it away, and Julius stands straight, looking to Yami. "You got a good specimen, my friend." "Didn't have much of a choice. He was too interesting," Yami would say. We then fade to black and enter the office of Julius with Asta and Yami standing before him, and he says that he has something to give to Asta. "Clearly, you've been trying to raise the rank of your squad, so I will be nominating you and the Golden Dawn to raid a dungeon." Hearing this, Asta will smile, saying, "You know he's gonna be there, huh?" "Indeed he will. I hope you don't mind." "I'm perfect," Asta says. "I'll take up the request, sir." Julius says they can leave, and he hopes things will go well, and then because the mission was tomorrow, so he should go get ready. As the two arrive back at the Black Bull base and prepare to enter, however, a rowdy Luck would break through the gate and appear right in front of Asta, sporting his lightning claws and boots, only for Asta to catch an upcoming kick of his, and seeing that he had been caught, Luck swings his other leg, but Asta dodges before then slamming him into the ground as if he was a mallet with incredible force, causing a shockwave to push back Yami a bit, and also put out a cigarette. "Would you stop doing this shit?" Yami would ask, as the dust would clear, showing a laughing Luck who says it's just too fun. As he makes such a ruckus, Noel, Mana, and Gordon then run out, completely ignoring Luck because he's been doing this since yesterday, so they're kinda used to it by now. "So, why did he call for you?" Noel would ask. "He wants us to raid a dungeon." Gordon would whisper that that's a really rare thing to get a personal request from the king himself, and Asta says, "I figured there was. So, who wants to go with me?" The next day, in a forest, we find Asta, Noel, and Luck walking towards the dungeon. Asta would say, would ask, "What's a dungeon like, by the way?" And as he asked us, Noel would then say, "It's basically like a treasure room filled with mana and traps." "Didn't the captain or the king tell you?" "Nope," Asta would say, and as he says this, they arrive at the dungeon and walk in, as Luck then asks if next time Asta can let him fight Rika, and Asta would legitimately start laughing, catching him off guard, but the laughing comes to a stop as he would say, "You'll die." The seriousness in his tone completely tells Luck he's not joking, and he says he was just joking before then accidentally stepping on a trap, causing multiple arrows to target them from all sides, but Asta would make a hand sign, causing a ripple of cursed energy to surge, and as the arrows strike, an almost invisible barrier would deflect them. The curious Luck would carefully touch forward and finds that there is something protecting them, but he just can't perceive it. "Wow, what's this technique?" Luck would ask. As he asked this, the raining of the arrows come to a stop, and Asta deactivates the barrier, saying, "It's called a simple domain. Come on." "You have barrier magic as well?" Noel asks. "You can think of it like that," Asta says. Along the way, they end up triggering traps by accident, and sometimes Luck protects them, or Asta does, until they enter the main room. A white dungeon is before them. Even if Asta cannot feel the mana like the others, it is still beautiful to him regardless. I never felt a place with so much mana before, Noah would say. Can you sense it too, Nero? Because I can't feel anything. Hey guys. Asta and Noel then turn to see Luck, who says that he'll be right back, and in a burst of lightning he disappears, and in anger Noel will yell at him to come back, but she accidentally steps on a magic trap. She would quickly look down and with a nervous sweat watch as the trap activates, causing a giant plant to erupt from the ground before releasing its many vines towards her. In this instant, however, Asta takes out his katana and would strike forward while simultaneously a crescent slash releases from some other direction, and Asta appears behind the plant as in the blink of an eye, the plant is ripped to shreds, and a startled Noel would fall to her knees. Magic? She thought, as Yuta would then fly out having used his magic to assist, and Asta would hang his sword to her shoulders. You were slower than usual, Yuno says, as he then lands down and Asta says he's never that slow. And this is when Mimosa and Klaus arrive, riding in on Yuno's wind arc, which lands down and dissipates, allowing them to land, so they can see Asta and Yuno starting to talk and just hugging, and Klaus would think it must be him, that curse user. Mimosa at this moment also notices Noel, who notices her, and quickly she stands nervously waving hello. You guys know each other? Asta would ask. Yes, we used to hang out as kids, Mimosa would say, but I haven't seen her in a while. Oh, by the way, my name is Mimosa. Asta introduces himself, and Noel says this must be the one that Asta is always talking about, and she's talking about Yuno, of course, and Asta says yes. So, wanna put up a little wager? Yuno would ask. Asta is interested and is about to ask what the wager is, when Klaus would then interrupt him mid-sentence. This is not the time for you to fool around. Commoners like you should just do as you're told. Oh, alright. Sorry then. Stay safe, Asta would say. He then turns, and while he does, he makes a hand sign saying, Nue. To everyone's surprise, this shadow would sprout a bizarre summoning, which then lands before he then gets on its back, and then he holds his hand out to Noel, and while she takes his hand, she asks what this thing is called, and he just has to call it Nue. Klaus is left shocked, asking, what is that creature? It wasn't summoned from mana. Cursed energy, my friend, Asta would say. Right, I keep forgetting he's a bizarre one, Klaus thinks. But I will not acknowledge you, he says out loud. Hey, Asta, first raid the dungeon wins the contest, Yuno would say. This makes Asta smile as he then says sure, and his bird will fly off, with the wool hanging onto Asta, who says not to worry as she will not fall. And soon they are out of sight. Have you ever seen him do that before? Mimosa asks. Yeah, that's new, Yuno says. He does stuff like that from time to time, don't worry about it. Meanwhile, Luck will be finding Lotus and be already losing. Dashing forward, he strikes at the mage for the 100th time, only for his view to be obstructed by a bunch of smoke, and he starts to lose even more strength, causing him to crash into the ground. Lotus speaks within the smoke, saying, Has anyone ever told you you're way too agitated? With a look of anger, Luck would then yell for him to shut up, releasing a burst of lightning, but it quickly fades, confusing him, just as all the smoke instantly gathers and compresses, trapping him in a certain contraption. I have to win. I can't just stop here. This is the only thing going through Luck's mind as he is just kind of in this trance. He just wants to win. And while he's strung up, from below appears Lotus, who would inspect him, saying, Are you maybe possessed or something? You're acting like you are. Luck, however, just keeps mumbling that he must win, while the smoke continues to compress and squeeze him, sapping him of his very life force. And Lotus then just gives up on him, saying, Don't worry. It'll be over soon. He clenches his fist, going to end him, when he and Luck then hear a warping voice. Explode. As his eyes widen, Lotus would then see the trap of smoke completely explode, releasing Luck as he then grows a nervous sweat, wondering what is going on, as he did not feel any magic. How dare you? A shocked Lotus hears from behind him, as he quickly turns to attack, only for Asta to slam his hilt into his stomach, sending him flying as he crashes into the walls of the dungeon. But I didn't sense any magic. How can he be that strong? Lotus would think. His pupils will quickly disappear as he finds himself stuck in the dent he made, and he hangs there, losing consciousness. Asta, after doing this, then runs to Luck and helps him up, before he would then punch him in the head. Stop doing things like that. Luck would scream in pain as he would jump around, grabbing his head, saying, Why did you punch me? I had him. Dumbass. That's not funny. Come here. Luck would then stare at him with distrust, but Asta would dare him to come over here because he was done with his bullshit, and he would, with Asta then touching his head right where he hit him. And instantly, Luck actually starts to feel his immense hate disappear. How are you doing that? Luck would ask. Asta says not to worry about it, as we then see him absorbing the very negative energy Luck keeps releasing. When he came to this world, another way he could increase his power was to increase the how do I say this? It's like increasing his absorption rate or something. He can increase how much he can negativity he can absorb from people. But in moments like this is when he really needs to do it the most, because when people around him are sad, that makes him a little angry because Yuta is that obsessive type person. So after absorbing his energy, he then asks Luck if he's okay, and he would nod. Sorry for running off. You can thank me by stopping the surprise attacks. Please. Can't do that, Luck would say. Fine, that's fair. As this happens though, we will go to Mars' perspective, as he was thinking, who is this man? He arrived expecting mere flies in his way, but Yuno managed to completely break his expectations and even defend his magic against his magic to save Mimosa, who Mars attacks. As he stared down Yuno, in an instant he appears in front of Mars and creates a huge blade of wind, I'm not even joking, a huge blade of wind which he strikes down, and just in time, Mars would form his mineral armor, causing a shockwave which blows back Mimosa and Klaus, and as they manage to stop themselves, Klaus is left in complete awe. Just what the hell am I seeing, he thought. As Yuno is then pushed back by Mars, and he lands as he finds himself instantly surrounded by mineral blades, but as they attack, he uses Mana Skin, making them shatter on contact, before then pointing forward and releasing 4 rays of wind, which Mars tries to escape, only to have his shoulder completely ripped through, even breaking through his mineral armor with ease. He's fast, Mars would think, as many more attacks reach him, so he explodes with minerals, forming a giant golem around himself, and Yuno would say, that's not gonna help you. Keep your mouth shut, insect. I'm just getting started. He creates many mineral clones that rush him, but as he swipes once, Yuno will create a giant crescent slash that rips through all of them, before then hitting and pushing back the golem, just as Yuno appears right in front of Mars once again. Like I said, that's not gonna help you. He then grabs him by the face and throws him to the ground using his wind magic as he makes him crater, and his mineral golem would completely shatter to pieces. Mimosa would just be saying, incredible, so that's what a 4-leaf clover can do. Yuno slowly descends and lands as he turns, putting a thumbs up, and a baffled Klaus and Mimosa would do the same, and he would walk up asking if they were hurt anywhere, and Mimosa says she's fine, but Klaus is still in disbelief and in his thoughts when he's snapped out of it by Yuno, who says, Senpai. Klaus senpai. Klaus would then say, oh yes, what? Are you good? Yuno would ask. Klaus would then push up his glasses saying he's fine, just as they hear the cry of a bird and quickly look up, getting ready for another fight, only to see that Noelle is arriving on the bird that Asta had summoned. It's just her, Mimosa would say. The bird then flies over quickly, and Noelle gets off with the bird melting to something that resembled ink. So after explaining what happened to her, they quickly then destroy the treasure room door, or gate, whatever you want to call it, using Yuno's magic, and they enter to see all the treasures. Of course, Klaus also went back to put Mars into restraint just to be sure. However, he would soon wake up with a seething rage and starts to use fire magic to heal himself, while simultaneously he would free himself and slowly get up. I'm not done yet, Mars thought. He explodes with a lot of magic, far more than he used before, and creates an even more gigantic golem before it roars, telling the group to come out as he releases more mineral blades that rip through the walls of the treasure room, and as inside Noelle is about to be hit, she would create her sea dragon's cradle, surprising Mimosa as she just knows that her magic is just so much better. But also, Mars is back. Quickly they run out and are met by a giant mineral sword being swung down by the gigantic golem made by their enemy, but as Yuno gets ready to attack, as if gravity was crushing them, they are hit by an intense pressure, with Rika forming right before the group and slashing towards the sword with just her index finger, and it would be ripped to pieces, bringing Mars to this creature which screams at him, making a chill run down his spine. Is that it? The curse? Klaus would ask. As he asked this, Mars is frozen, and this is when Asta appears right above him with Luck in his hand as he would tense up his muscles to the maximum, and just as he turns back, Mars gets a punch slammed into his face with so much force that he not only craters into the ground, but literally digs into it, and a massive shockwave would blow away the mineral golem to nothing, much like how Yuno did it, just a little bit differently. Luckily, Rika would shield the group from all the stray mineral, like that's parts that were like flying off in the shockwave, and Yuno would say, thanks Rika. No problem, Rika would say. Mimosa with a nervous laugh then asks, let me guess, you borrowed that move from him? Okay, maybe a little, Yuno says. As the dust is blown away, Asta would land in the huge crater, and he slowly walks out holding Luck, who would nervously wave to everyone when they see them, and Asta would say, sorry about that, did I startle you? He then slowly lets down Luck and apologizes that he couldn't even let Luck get some of the action because he wanted some of the action, but Luck would say it's fine, just as Rika appears right beside Asta in an instant. She's fast, everyone thinks, as even Yuno has never seen Rika move at such speeds. He's only seen her form and stuff like that. At this point, Klaus then gives up and has to admit that no matter what he says, Asta and Yuno just simply surpass him by a long mile. As Rika snuggles up against Asta, Luck would then ask, "Why does she keep calling you Yuta?" "Because Yuta is Yuta," Rika would yell. Okay, Luck would say. Asta would laugh at his reaction, saying, "Think of it as a nickname. Asta, Yuta, kinda sounds similar. She just likes it better." With the Diamond Mages having already been beaten along the way by Asta and Luck, and with Mars being beaten, the Clover Mages just take the treasures and leave, with Yuno having already seen the strange scroll before Asta came, so that's all covered. As they exit the dungeon and are about to go their separate ways, however, Klaus would tell Asta to stop, and as Asta turns, he would then see him bowing. I owe you an apology. Because of my pride, I couldn't even admit what my captain had told me. You as well, both of you, I'm truly sorry." Asta and Yuno then look to each other before then looking back at him, saying, "Oh, okay." "Wait, you guys did that way too easily," Noah would say. Klaus would also agree, saying, "I mean, thank you, but why? Most nobles we met wouldn't even say excuse me after accidentally kicking you. Yeah, the bar's kind of low, man, but thanks. Seriously," Asta would say. "Wait, does that include me as well?" Noah would ask, panic, and Asta laughed, saying no. Now we're going to time skip to the next day, and as Asta and Noah are heading towards the Kingdom Castle to give their report, Noah would ask, So we're going to do a little time skip to the next day, and Asta and Noah are heading to the Clover Kingdom Castle to give the report, when Noah would ask, "So are you going to tell me how you do that?" "Do what?" Asta asked. Noah then says she means the thing he does when he makes her feel at ease by touching her back and helping her concentrate with her magic. "I heard Luck say you did it for him too, so now you have to tell me. How the hell did you come to that conclusion?" "Okay, well, it's not really that big of a deal. I just take away your sadness." This only leaves Noelle with more questions, and she's about to say something when they hear a familiar voice, and they turn back to see the Golden Dawn approaching. "Good morning," Klaus would yell. They wave back, with Noelle being surprised he did such a 180 because he looks like a completely different person, just his demeanor and everything. And the two squads would then meet, and for some reason Mimosa is acting a bit standoffish. So when they're walking as a group, Noelle would inquire about this. I just keep thinking back to that moment when he punched the Diamond Mage. She just starts giggling and shit, and she cannot say anything more, and begins to turn red, with Noelle turning red as well. And the two would notice this and feel weird about it because they kind of get what's happening here. "Noelle, are you sick?" Asta would ask, and Noelle would say it's okay, she's just a bit hot because it's a bit hot outside, and Asta says okay. As Klaus then asks if they're going to the castle as well, and Noelle would say yes. "Well, you don't exactly seem surprised or any happy at all that you're meeting the Wizard King of all people," Yuno says. "Oh, that's because I already met the king," Asta would say. This surprises Klaus and Yuno, as when they reach the castle, waiting for them is Julius, and Julius would say, "Welcome, young knights." Quickly they all bow out of respect, and Yuno is meeting the man he is hoping to surpass, but he says to lighten up, and he tells them to come in, and they follow him in, and they go to a tower. The first thing Julius asks for is the spell that Yuno received. Yuno gives his grimoire showing the spell, and Julius would begin to read it. "Good job on getting this. This might be the most important thing in that dungeon." "You can actually read it?" Yuno asked. "A bit. Don't worry, I'm sure in due time you will understand it as well. But could you show me how this magic works, like anything?" "Oh, so the rumors about the king being a maniac about magic was true," Klaus thought, as Julius would have his eyes brighten up like a child, like he usually does whenever he's talking about anything magic related, and Yuno says, "Sorry, I don't really know what it is, and I didn't get to use it." While disappointed by this answer, Julius says it's okay and hands the book back, before then saying he hopes that he will climb even further, which makes Yuno even more determined. "Alright, Asta, I heard you stored the treasures. Can I have them?" Asta would nod before... That was weird. That was weird as fuck. I'm not taking that. No. Asta would nod before then say, "Rika." At the mere mention of her name, the young mages feel something eerie as she forms behind... What the fuck? Asta then nods before then saying, "Rika." At the mere mention of her name, the young mages feel something eerie as she forms beside Asta, and she would say, "Yuta, what do you need?" "The treasure." She would then say okay and grab her chest before then ripping it open, showing an endless black void, out of which she pulls out the sack after reaching into it, and then she hands it to Julius, who says, "Thank you, Rika. Can I ask you some questions?" Rika would close the storage as she then looks to Asta saying, "Yuta, this guy's really weird." Asta then says, You can't say things like that. Come on." Julius, however, laughs, saying it's okay. "I figured she might just be a simple summon, but she has a will of her own, doesn't she?" "Thank you for helping the kingdom, Rika." "I did it for Yuta. Don't be confused," she said, before then waving goodbye to Yuta or Asta, whatever she calls him, and warps away. As she does, Asta then sees Class and Mimosa slightly shaken and would grab them by their shoulders, slowly calming them down. "Oh, thank you," Mimosa would say. Asta then takes his hand off, saying it's no problem, and this intrigues Julius even more. A creature filled with what seems like endless and boundless energy and infinite storage, the ability to use anti-magic, whatever that was. He just keeps doing crazy things, Julius thinks. Julius then claps as he gets everyone's attention, and he says to follow him inside because it was time for the Valor ceremony. And as they follow him and end up in the hallway, would begin to ask something. "What do I need to do to become Wizard King, sir?" Klaus would say, "You can't just ask things like that. Okay, the Wizard King has to be a man who must earn the trust of people and be benevolent." And Julius would say, "Yeah, that shit is completely bullshit. I'm joking." He does say it is not true, saying it's all about results. A mage cannot protect anyone with just good virtues. You must show why you think you're worthy. So, procure results. That's exactly what I wanted to hear, would say. "Good," Julius would say. After meeting them is when this truly begins, he would say, as he then they reach the door and he slowly opens it to show the waiting magic knights. "Let's just hope you can procure more results than these guys." As the two commodores enter, they have eyes on them, but the captain is instantly looking to Asta, and they think that he's changed somehow, and they kind of feel it. Julius then says Asta and will be joining the ceremony, but more so Asta than And he then sits down as everyone stands before him, and he would tell them their achievements and all the stars they've earned. As he gets to he then says the following. "You are from the Golden Dawn and have a 4-leaf clover, so I have high expectations for you. You did well beating the Diamond Mage despite requiring a bit of assistance for it, so I implore your efforts, so you will gain half a star. I will try to take more missions, sir," would say. "Good. And now Asta," Julius would say, as all eyes instantly turn on him, and Julius would say, "Destroying an underground human trafficking ground made by nobles, helping out the Hodge orphanage, killing dangerous beasts, and many, many more tasks, as well as assisting in the dungeon raid. Your stars are definitely something that you've earned yourself. I can't say much more. I would like to give you the status of a senior magic knight." Hearing this would make the nobles all mad, as Sully would then clench his fist in anger, thinking, how the hell is he already getting such a rank? Julius can see they all kind of feel some type of way about this, but none of the captains even bat an eye, with Julius then saying, "You will soon come to see why I've made such a judgment. I hope you do not mind." "Of course not, sir," Leopold would say, and the others say the same despite, of course, disagreeing, but everyone respects Julius, and they say it's fine, and Julius says, okay, if that's the case, then the banquet can be held. The group of them move to a different place, where some nobles have gathered to eat, and Asta will be sitting down and eating along with For commoners, at least they have some manners, they would say. But to get such a rank, he must be doing something suspicious. I mean, I don't buy this curse business. He has no mana. It's just ridiculous. As they mumble these words, such as slum rat and useless, and they throw these words around, would be annoyed, as Asta would say, this is real good. We gotta bring back some for everyone. How are we supposed to enjoy this? Would say, I don't know why the Wizard King even brought us here. Alidora at this moment sees Asta, and even who is in his own squad, and would get even more mad just by their presence, just as Leopold would walk up saying, "Hey, I heard you got a cocky little rat in your group. He thinks he's hot shit because he has a 4-leaf grimoire. But I did far better in the last dungeon missions. What a disappointment, huh? You never expected much from a rat," Alidora would say. "We will be the ones to bring Sir Vonjus' dream to fruition." And as he says this, Asta stops eating, as notices his face become deadly. I can't fucking eat with all this noise, he would think. Klaus tries to defend, but is reprimanded by his seniors and superiors. But then the final ball is dropped when a slight scream of Noelle is heard by everyone, and Asta's eyes widen as he turns to see his teammate crying, having water spilled on her head, while Solid would laugh at her pain. I'm gonna fucking kill you. As he says this, the entire room would fill with intense cursed energy as everyone is pushed to the ground by this intense pressure, and they find it hard to even breathe, and they begin to shake as they see Asta now standing, having completely changed in demeanor. He's just some slum rat. How can some mere commoner do this? Asta slowly steps up, raising the pressure even more and expanding his cursed energy, and he begins to talk. My friends are amazing. My brother's a genius, and you won't stop bad-mouthing them. I was gonna let this go until you did this. Come on now. This is when Julius barges in saying, Stop! Asta, don't! Look around. Asta then turns and he stares down Julius, who had just arrived some guards, and they all feel like they're facing death in the face. But Asta then looks to see Noelle, who will be in pain. How stupid can they be to aggravate that man? It's like asking for death itself, Charlotte would think. And having this pressure on them, of course, everyone starts to realize they're in deep doo-doo. But the pressure would release and everyone falls to their knees as Asta then looks down at Adidora, who, after just feeling his stare, is afraid to even look up and actually look in his eyes. Keep your dirty words to yourself, Mr. Vice Captain, or that tongue of yours. I will cut it. That wouldn't be fun, would it? Alidora can do nothing but clench his teeth in absolute terror as Asta then makes a hand sign before then absorbing all the negative energy, affecting them all back to himself, and slowly they become able to act normal again, but that fear would never leave them. Slowly, Asta would walk out with the guards and Julius making way, and Julius would say, Asta, I save it. Asta would say, I know how hard it must be. Without another word, he quickly walks out, and Noel and basically all his friends run out after him, with Julius then closing the door as he would then ask, who was it? They all keep quiet, and someone says, a commoner should have never been here to begin with. But Julius would just stare this nigga down like, shut your bitch ass up, and he would, and Julius would apologize for the intrusion, but says, if you keep bad-mouthing people, you should be prepared for backlash. Commoners don't care about status like you do. Outside, while he walks alone, I'll still be wondering why he even snaps so easily. It must be my adolescent side or something. At this point, would come out and yelling out, like calling him a bum, and says to stop, like, dude, I'm trying to run after you, just stop. And he says seriously, like, stop, it's okay. We understand why you got so mad. And he stops as the others then run up with Klaus asking if he's okay, and Asta would say, do I look hurt? This would make Klaus slightly flustered, but Asta says he's just joking around and says sorry for the scene before then asking Noel if she's doing okay. Yeah, sorry, in that moment I didn't really know how to react, Noel would say. You shouldn't have to do anything, Asta thinks. Out of nowhere, however, from behind them a huge explosion occurs, taking the group by surprise, with everyone then turns to see fire spreading as people around them would start to panic, and quickly Asta forms the Inumaki sigil. Run to safety. As they are hit by these words, the people start running away from the fire and see Asta rising into the air. Is he making us do this? I can't control my limbs. What kind of... Wait, I don't sense any magic. Asta would stop mid-air somewhere and look around to see a wave of undead being released. Rika, did you get that? Curse magic. Would have known. Rika would then form behind Asta, who holds his hand out, and Rika would grab it as when she lets go, a microphone is formed in his hand. Die, Asta says. And that is where we will stop the second part. Welcome to the end of the second part. Honestly speaking, I'm a little bit disappointed in this one. Yeah, I don't know why. I just don't like it. But I hope you guys will like it at least. It felt right while I was writing it, but recording it just felt weird. Either way though, good action. I like it. I made Asta go a little bit crazy. Now those nobles can shut the fuck up because they're really annoying. I feel like I'm gonna get demonetized for just cursing so much in this episode. Point is, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Still trying to write the next part for the Alpha Werewolf Naruto series on my second channel with Dark King. It's just I haven't gotten to it, so those of you who want to see that, maybe I'll just post it here because it'll be probably the second to the last part of the series because Naruto is too OP, so I can't really do much about that. With all that done, tell me down below how you're feeling today. I'm doing pretty good. It's Sunday, still enjoying my weekend. Tomorrow's school sucks, but hey, I'm a senior, about to leave soon, so that's all good. And yeah, that's about it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to stay up to date on all of my videos. Go check out our Discord, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.